Good morning, folks. Welcome back. It is a beautiful day. It shows 66, 67 degrees. It is overcast. It is a little humid, but it feels so much better than it has the beginning of the week. So I'm going to go back a little bit to some of my older videos and that information. If the world ever gets to the point, or your life ever gets to the point where you need to rely on what you have on hand to, just say grow food, you're going to have to learn how to compost for fertilizer if you cannot get chemical fertilizer of any kind. I go with compost and natural fertilizer here. I do have chemical fertilizer, but that 40-pound bag is lasting years and years and years. And there's only certain plants I put that on, and one of them is my potato growing method. So you're going to have to come up with a way to, if you don't already, know how to grow your own food. Now, I know a lot of experienced gardeners. I consider myself a quite experienced gardener, and still I don't know everything, right? And if you get on all these garden sites, you'll find quite a handful of people that have gardened for a very long time asking questions on what to do with this. What do you think this is? How do I control this or that? So we all don't know. We all don't have all the answers. So that pumpkin, those 3 pumpkin plants up there, they started out very, very well. I didn't, because I'm trying to see what will grow up there, what it needs for nutrients, what is deficient in as far as nutrients. And it's a trial, right? It's a trial area to see if that area would be worthy to have a garden in. So I started out with just loosening up the soil, putting the seeds in, watering it, and then leaving it. There's no fertilizers, no compost or anything. Well, the cucumbers really like growing up there, and at first so didn't the pumpkins. Now, we was going to have a hot spell, and I wasn't going to be home to keep them watered. So I had the bright idea, well, if they're looking good here, I need to mulch them somehow, and maybe I'll just put some compost on there to help retain some of the moisture. Well, the next day, the cucumbers said thank you very much. The pumpkins started yellowing up. So I'm like, well, because they were growing so well without any soil amendments, maybe the compost was what was causing it. Now, I know cucumbers like a lot of nutrients, and I know pumpkins like a lot of nutrients. Now, there's only one other time that I grew pumpkins in my entire life, and that was quite a few years ago. And they turned out pretty good, but I had them in the garden right here. The next time I grew pumpkins was the next year because they were growing out of my compost pile. Now, so technically this is the 3rd time that I've got pumpkins growing. So I've always been told that you can plant pumpkins right on a manure pile or a compost pile. So I'm rather confused on what those pumpkin plants were, why they were yellowing out. Because I knew they were getting enough water. It does bake over there, so I said, well, maybe it's heat stress. So that's why I asked y'all, what do you think I should do? What do you think is causing the yellowing of the leaves? the plant looks good otherwise. There's pumpkins forming. So during the night, I'm like, you know what? The comments that I read, all of you thought that it was a nitrogen deficiency. Well, I was hemming and hawing about that as well. I couldn't imagine the compost doing that, but it must have been just a coincidence, maybe. That the next day, I put the compost on, watered it in, and then the next day the leaves started to turn yellow. So to me, the correlation was I put compost on there, right? Now my compost here is quite rich. I have a few different types of compost. I have grass clippings. I have all this stuff as one compost. I have pine needles, leaves, all kinds of stuff as another compost. I have my coop litter compost, and then I have my bathroom compost. So I know the bathroom compost is quite rich because I'm full of shit, right? And the grass clippings, that's pretty rich. It has a lot of nitrogen in it. So what I do, so instead of using chemical fertilizer for a fast-acting type of nitrogen, what I do is I take my urine, I pee in a bucket, I take that urine and I mix it with water. A good ratio for a lot of plants is 1 part urine, 10 parts water, or a lot of plants will take a 2 to 3 ratio. A limited amount of plants will take a 3 to 10 ratio. 3 parts urine, 10 parts water. Now, urine is sterile. It's very safe. The only time it's really not good to use your urine, especially if you're going to compost your bathroom material, is if you are on an antibiotic, because that'll kill the enzymes and all that, right? So a lot of people think that's pretty disgusting, using your urine to water your plants with, to add fertilizer, to add the nitrogen. Other people also think it's pretty disgusting to compost your bathroom material. Well, that's what I do here. That's what I've done for years, and I usually have a beautiful garden. I know at least 2 of you out there, 2 of you channels out there, also compost your bathroom waste. So if it ever came a time when you had to grow your own food and you could only do it with what you have on hand at the time, and you don't have any chemical fertilizer or any fish emulsion or whatnot, you're going to have to come up with alternatives, whether it's compost, whether it's catching fish and making your own fish emulsion. The chipmunk. Composting your bathroom waste, and it's got to be done correctly, right? It's got to be done correctly. A good book to read on that is, I think his name is Joseph Jenkins, Composting Toilet. Now, there's a few videos online. There's a really wonderful book out there. It's called the Humanure Compost, or the Humanure Handbook, or something like that. Using your urine, composting your bathroom waste, catching fish and using fish, creating a fish emulsion, compost tea, composting. There's a lot of things that are out there readily available to a lot of people, but you've got to know how to do it, right? You've got to know how to do it. So, like I said, there's quite a stigma on composting your human waste, And if you're on antibiotics, you probably shouldn't put that in your compost pile, because those antibiotics will eat up all that good stuff that's trying to break down your compost into good material to grow with. So if it ever come a time, if you don't know how to do any of what I just said, now is a good time to read up on a lot of that. You can add too much nitrogen. You can add too much nitrogen as far as the urine. Read up on the ratios of that. Get on some of these channels that talk about that type of thing. And pretty good idea to get over your stigma, if you have one, on using your bathroom compost, your urine, whatever. So, but in order to grow food, in order to eat, in order to survive if times get hard, that's a really good place to start, folks. Start now, learning how to garden, and because none of us have all the answers. A lot of us, I got a goose fight over there. Yeah, going right around in circles. So now is the time to at least read up on that, take some notes, watch some videos, do some research. If it come a time when you had to use your bathroom compost waste, it's got to be done correctly, folks, or it'll make you awfully sick. It may sound gross to a lot of people, but I can tell you, I've been doing it for years. I'm as healthy as a horse. I have beautiful, beautiful plants, especially up in my established gardens. Now, you've seen the pumpkins, right? I had a question on pumpkins. I wanted your input. Thank you very much. I watered this morning, first thing about 6 o'clock. Well, after I did the chores. I peed in a bucket, and I added my water and went up and watered those pumpkin plants. So we will see. We will see. I could have done a 3 to 10, but I chose to do a 2 to 10, and we will see. We will see. So that's just the way it is for a lot of us who live the way that I do. A lot of us have what they call dry toilets, sawdust toilets, peat moss toilets, all of that. And if you watch those videos and they show you their garden, you can see they have a beautiful, beautiful garden, folks. But it's got to be done right. It's just got to be done right, or you'll get awful sick, right? So have a good day.